Welcome back everyone to the Visvim Pioneer channel. My name is Brian and today we're going to be taking a look at the Visvim Poundmaker from 2023. So the Visvim Poundmaker has released in several different versions. It's my understanding that some pairs released as early as 2012, 2013, but I never really took notice of the boot until the 2022 season. So for 2022, Visvim began to become a lot more logo centric, and a lot of different garments started to have some of their, phrases for the season. At the time, I believe the slogan was "In quality we trust." So for the trunk show that year, I actually ended up picking up the decoy duck boot that I previously reviewed, as well as an Irish jacket. But I did see a pair of Poundmakers that looked extremely interesting to me. So I didn't actually end up picking up the 2022 release. I actually went for the 2023 release. So there's times where Visvim releases the same boot across multiple seasons, and while the overall design and materials will stay the same, you will see the price increase slightly due to material costs. The price of the Poundmaker is still pretty high. It's not as high as some of the ICT models, but the boot does retail for around $1,500, $1,600. And at the time, I didn't want to spend that amount of money on this particular pair. So it was something that at the time I knew was a mainline release, which essentially means that other vendors would be getting it outside of Visvim, so I could potentially wait for it to go on sale elsewhere. So whenever there's a product that I know is releasing from the main line, I typically tend to wait so that, maybe I can purchase it on sale or find a better deal somewhere else than purchasing directly through Visvim. But of course, you're taking a gamble, going in that direction, because one, you don't know what retailers are going to end up ordering that item, and two, you don't know if they do order the item, whether or not they'll have the size or the color that you want. So these boots released in 3 different colors: the black colorway that I'm going to be showing today, a darker brown colorway, as well as a lighter brown color. So that lighter brown is kind of like a butterscotch colorway, or a cognac, if you will. It's definitely a nice color to look at, but it kind of doesn't necessarily work with the clothes that I have. The other reason why I bought the black pair and not the dark brown pair, even though I think the dark brown pair is a lot better looking, is because I already have so many dark brown boots. In addition to the colorway being slightly different than what I already own, one of the main reasons I picked these up is because of the price point. So as I mentioned earlier, the retail price for these boots was around $1,500, $1,600. Because it was a mainline release, I was able to keep an eye on it and kind of wait until it went on sale at another retailer. Thankfully, Forward here locally in California had a pair in a size 11, and they went on sale to like $700 or something like that. And while that price point is still pretty steep, it is definitely a lot better than the retail price. So I highly encourage you guys to keep looking around. If you could find a deal for something that you've been wanting for a while, just remain patient, and hopefully that item will eventually become available to you. However, obviously it's not a guarantee, but there's so many cool products that Visvim releases that even if you miss out on something that you thought you absolutely needed, eventually something that'll be just as crazy will come on down the line. So overall, just learn to be a little bit more patient, try to find the best deals you can. I mean, even if you have it, it's at the end of the day, these are, thousands of dollars on, on material products. So just to keep that in mind. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. So here's the Visvim Poundmaker from 2023. Honestly, I'm not sure why I passed on these when they were, shown to me at the trunk show, because they are absolute tanks. I think more than any other boot that I've owned from Visvim, these have held up to a tremendous amount of wear, and it could be the color, but I think it's also part of the materials that are used here that really lend themselves to be one of the more comfortable and almost flattering silhouettes, I would say. But with that being said, let's take a quick little preview. So the first thing to know with the Poundmaker is that the toe box is extremely wide. Sometimes it kind of gives off a clown shoe effect, I feel. But if you wear like a straighter fitting pant versus like a slim pant, I think you're able to kind of hide that, extremely bulbous toe a little bit better. But nonetheless, the materials that are used on the toe box, I believe, are a Italian vegetable tan horsehide. are extremely comfortable. These shoes do give off a smell. For those of you that own a pair, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Like when you hold them or when you have them close to your face, you could definitely smell the material, and even like your hands, they kind of leave a scent from the leather. But another cool component, and it's not specific to the Poundmaker, but you know, the boots that use this material. So the leather on the heel and the shaft of the boot is kind of like a T-core leather. So while it's dyed black, it's not completely dyed black all the way throughout. And so as you wear the boot, you're kind of able to expose some of the, you know, natural leather colors underneath, which, you know, I think gives a cool patchwork and like variation to the color that you have here. So if you're looking for a boot that's one single color, this probably isn't going to be the model for you. Going back to the fit of this boot, because it does have the wider toe box, I personally find these to be one of the more wider boots that I own, similar to the 7-hole boot. I think that the wide toe allows ample room for your feet to swell throughout the day. Similar to the 7-hole, these are extremely comfortable because of the extra room, and with that being said, the sizing on these is pretty true to size. While they are wide fitting, I think the length of them is pretty true to size. So I bought these in an 11 and they fit just as well as all my other boots. I'm pretty much an 11 in everything Visvim except for the slimmer fitting silhouettes like the UT Folk and the 2 boots, but other than that, these fit pretty well. So one of the criticisms of this release is the "in quality we trust" tagline. I actually like it. It's a pretty cool thing, and it could also scratch off as well, but I think this is like the first season where Visvim started to be very logo and slogan heavy. While a lot of people enjoy the fact that the brand is low key, I think that, you know, these kind of little details are still subtle enough to, you know, resonate with the core audience of Visvim, while maybe also resonating with the audience that prefers like streetwear and things like that. So I think it's a nice, cool little touch, and it's also on the inside of the boot, so it's not necessarily something most people will notice. Unless your feet are positioned a certain way, I don't think it's too big of a deal. This leather has a lot of dye on it. You can see that the leather tab here is basically almost black as well from the constant rubbing of the leather. The laces are extremely long. They're kind of meant to be wrapped around the boot, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but I do wrap the laces around the boot myself, and you're kind of left with that imprint from the rubbing of the laces and the upper as well. Typical Visvim details, you have a full, you know, Goodyear welt, a dainite rubber sole, which I think is the weak point of this boot. This sole, you know, gets used on, you know, models from other companies from anywhere from like $100 to like, you know, $600 or whatever, but they just wear out very fast. I do wear these boots a lot, but the wear on the heel I feel is pretty premature. And but overall, you know, it's a timeless, you know, outsole, and it's easily resolable, so I get the use of it, right, for longevity purposes, but in the immediate future, it just wears out pretty fast. Besides that, it does have a full leather interior. The eyelets are obviously this like gold color, which some people aren't a fan of. I don't mind it. I think silver might have looked a little bit better with the black, but because this like T-core leather here in the back is kind of has a brown hue, it blends pretty well. In addition to that, this boot does feature those eyelets similar to the Virgil, where you're able to like kind of hook them in like a hiking shoe style. And so, you know, it's overall just a really well constructed boot, a lot better than some of the other items I have. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a closer look at these. Here we are taking a closer look at the Visvim Poundmaker-Folk boot release from 2023. I think what's really interesting about the materials here is the thickness of the leather that's used. I think more than any other boot that I have, the panels here just feel a lot more well-rounded and just overall better construction than a lot of the different items that I've bought from Visvim. The upper of this pair is composed of an Italian vegetable tanned horsehide combined with a Horwean vegetable tanned cowhide. I think this is what Visvim specializes in. They take a boot and they make it look like a well-worn pair that's been handed down from generation to generation, and it's something that they do a lot better than other companies. And while this style of boot might not be everyone's favorite, I think that Visvim definitely executes to a higher degree than many other people do. So the sole on this boots do feature a Cuban heel, and I like the different wear and tear that's been provided to the leather portion on the side of the outsole. The in quality we trust is kind of like painted over on the boot, and you could definitely feel it kind of sitting atop the leather. And overall, this is just a great looking boot. It's an item that I wear very often. I think that these, more than any other boots that I own, definitely hold up to the wear that I put them through. And the color also really helps with the wear and tear. You know, I can wear these in all different kinds of scenarios, and I don't really have to worry too much about the color, the suede, the leather fading or becoming damaged. I think the black hides a lot of different, issues very well. And overall, it's just an extremely comfortable boot and one that I plan to own for many years to come. I hope you all enjoyed this closer look at the Visvim Poundmaker boot. Honestly, while it wasn't a silhouette that immediately caught my attention, I think it's slowly become one of my favorite models in my collection. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. Is this a pair that you own? Is it something that you've considered buying? I can't thank you guys enough for all the comments and support you've been showing for the past few weeks. I think that when I started this channel, I wasn't really expecting much to come from it, but I really enjoy the community aspect that we're starting to build here. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really goes a long way. And until next time, thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go. This way. This way.
You don't want face?
You can get face.
Oh.
But